Well, I'd like to welcome you to this part of Women in Rugby League, the pioneering years, which I'm absolutely loving doing at the minute, meeting all my old muckers. And as a guest on today, we have the amazing Julie Cronin, who's here today, who was one of the pioneers in the York area. We've spoken to you before, Julie, around sort of your international and playing for Great Britain, but this time I really want to concentrate on your experiences in York, how it's set up around the clubs, how everybody was around women's rugby league, because York was one of the pioneers, as in the York team, although not quite the first, but one of the first in 1985, when you began to play and then joined the league and various other things. And I'm just really interested in how it all started and all those sort of things, so that people can get a feel for how amazing York is actually, and how many years they've actually been playing rugby league in York, which sometimes you just think it just started in 2017, or when the present
Mm.
Valkyries started, but actually it's got a really long history, which is really exciting. So just tell us a bit about how you got involved, why you got involved in rugby league to start off with, Julie, and how old are you when you actually got involved? What got you into rugby league and that sort of thing?
Hi, Julia.
Hello, sorry,
We're
that was a
back
bit of a long
again.
intro, wasn't it?
That was very good, actually. Well, it all started, I was 18. There's always been a local derby between Acorn and Newarth Rugby League men's teams.
Mm.
Um, and this year, for some reason, in 85, they said, don't let the women be the cheerleaders anymore. Let's make them play rugby league. So obviously, all the girlfriends, wives of players, they asked us all, would we be interested? So obviously, after you've played a lot of sport at school, quite a lot of us, yeah, we said, go on, give it a go. We've never tried it. Let's see what's rugby league's about. So we got nominated a coach who was Billy Blackburn's dad, old Billy Blackburn, who was a referee as well. He was a bit ruthless on pitch with us, like, but never mind. God bless him. Obviously, he's not here nowadays. He passed sadly.
Mm.
So he coached us, and we had a 6 weeks crash course how to learn rugby league. Obviously, we'd never picked the ball up. We didn't know what a tackle was. We didn't know um, what the rules were. Anything. We're all raw, totally raw. So we ended up, I think, started off at least 12 or 15 of us that turned up on the Naesmire at York. And Billy came and he tried to talk us through this game and playing with this odd shaped ball that nobody knew how to handle, pass, throw, anything. So we're all quite excited actually, because it was a good laugh, because all the girls got on really well, because we all knew each other through our husbands playing rugby league at the time for the Acorn. Obviously, we were the Acorn team. We're up against the youth girls. So off we went. So obviously we had to start from scratch, how to learn how to tackle, how to throw a ball, how to run with it, how to stay behind, I mean, everything went wrong. There was arms, legs, you name it, everywhere. Everybody was running around like headless chickens, trying to catch a ball, trying to kick a ball that went wrong all the time. So yeah, it was great fun, to be honest. So we used to meet on the Naesmire, and afterwards, sometimes we did go to the Naesmire Hotel for a few beers afterwards. It was quite a sociable time as well. And obviously, we had to learn how to play rugby league. After so long, I think old Billy got sick of us, so he just said, "I can't do them. They're driving me mad. They're not. We're not getting anywhere." So we ended up with Brian Smith, who ended up actually he was the original coach for when York Ladies set up, who was brilliant, was Brian.
Ah.
His wife also played. Was she in her 40s? Yeah. I think Chris was in her 40s. She was the oldest woman on part, but I tell you something, she was a good laugh. So yeah, he persisted with us to play this game.
So how long did Billy last then? Did he last the 6 weeks?
No, I think he only lasted a couple. I think we did his head in. It's like, I can't cope with this lot. They're just, no, we're not getting it. They're doing me head in. It's yeah, at least a couple of weeks, I think he was there.
Yeah.
And then obviously Brian took over. So Brian was very patient. I mean, even Billy was, but I think we just drove him mad. He just thought it was never going to happen in a 6 week grass course. So Brian moulded us. We actually learned then how to run with the ball, try and pass the ball, tackle, kick. Obviously, nobody had kicked a ball, so it was kicking conversions, everything else. There was everything involved. So he persisted, and then obviously on May the 6th, 1985, down at Heworth Rugby League Club, the girls ended up playing the charity game for the York Baby Scanner in front of a 2,000 crowd. We
Wow,
raised
2,000.
£2,000. We raised a lot of money then. It was a lot of money in 85.
Yeah.
And they all came down just to see whether we're going to hash it or make it look spectacular or good. Plus, all the men had to get dressed up in the little skirts and the rah-rahs, and they actually ended up being the cheerleaders. So,
Fabulous.
yeah, it was great. It was a great sensation. We're all nervous. We're all sick. In the changing rooms, you were like, oh my God, we've never played rugby league before. And how is this going to turn out? But yeah, it worked out really well and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Social side was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what sport had you played before that, Julie?
I'd played, well, everything at school.
Yeah.
Sport Billy, they used to call me, so I was in every team going.
Yeah.
Mainly hockey, to be honest. Well, anything at school. But I went on to try and play for York hockey. But after leaving school, obviously you're not with your same friends. So, and then obviously this was the next challenge. And I thought,
so who coached Heworth then? Do you know?
Can't think. Let me look in my pamphlet. Might tell you exactly who this the coach was. Oh, there you go. Another superstar. Rugby League, Robin Devotee.
Oh, wow.
Divotee, or which way you want to pronounce it. But yeah, it was Robin. Yeah, lovely. Wow. And obviously his son, Gary Devotee.
Yeah.
So
that first game happened. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Amazing amount of people turned up.
Oh, it was a really hot summer's day as well for that May bank holiday. It was just, and they had stalls, they had everything. They did it as a big bumper day. We're even drinking sherry before the game because we were that nervous. Our stomachs wouldn't settle. And then afterwards, everybody bought us. They all put in a kitty and gave us some money to go uptown later on, which I think got very messy, like it does. And
that's amazing, isn't it?
Exactly, and we won. My team won 26-4. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. So what then came from that, really, then? What then happened after that? Everyone enjoyed it, and what was next?
Well, we all said there was like a nucleus. I think whenever you're playing a sport, you always end up with a nucleus of the team. And I just said, well, what do you think? Are we stopping here? And a few girls have said, I've heard of other rugby league teams, women's teams that are sort of playing friendlies. And I just said, does any of you lot, or can we form a team? Can we go play some friendlies? Because we'd enjoyed it that much and thought it was a great sport. And we just said, can we get in touch with people? And I think it was Chris Smith, who was Bryce Smith's wife, or maybe Jill Blackburn. Can't remember who it was. It was either one of them two. Said, I'll go and find and see if there's like a little mini league or something.
Yeah. Which
then we found out it was Guiseley Ladies or Guiseley Hawks, was it?
Ladies, yeah.
Ladies. God,
Guiseley Angels.
Bloody hell. Oh, sorry. Angels. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, Guiseley. None of us were angels. Trust us. God. So we went and got a friendly against them. And I think did that then go to Hunslet Hawks? I think it was.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, I think Halifax were doing a bit. There was another team, but God, I can't remember what that.
There will have been Dudley Hill and Crossfield in the mix.
It might have been Dudley Hill then. But I know we played Guiseley on several occasions, and obviously they were very good. They had Michaela Hurst. They had Nelly, combination of a 6 and a 7, them two. Absolutely fabulous players, them two.
And what name did you play under then?
Well, you see, that's a different thing. We started off as Acorn Ladies. I think we got a bit rowdy uptown a couple of times. So they basically said, no, we can't have you. you're too bad. And I'm like, and you men are, you do loads of rude things, you know. We were just singing, chanting, and just being drunken women, really. So we ended up after that, we said, right, we are owned to nobody, we'll go as York Ladies.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is
So
that when you
then,
play? Is that who you played in the league under then?
yeah, we went
Yeah.
under York Ladies, went from Acorn, yeah, and then I think we went on the Naesmire for so long because we didn't know where to go. We ended up playing it out of Heworth as well.
Mm.
Later on, then latterly, we went to New Hayswick All Blacks
Oh, I
as
remember that. Yeah.
independents, yeah. So we moved around a bit, just I
Yeah.
suppose because who could tolerate us?
So do you remember when the first league then and things like that, when you played your first formal league?
Crikey, would that have been 90s?
Would it? So you were doing friendlies up to the 90s?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I came out for a year because I obviously had Kelly, my daughter.
Yeah.
I played maybe, she was born in 88. So I'd have played, well, 87, I wouldn't have been there. Because they actually had a game as a curtain raiser at Clarence Street when the old rugby ground were there. And I saw the girls after the game. I was heavily pregnant with Kelly, absolutely gutted. I'd missed playing on the old ground because after that, it then got knocked down, made into flats. So that was one bad point about it all is I missed playing on Clarence Street. But unfortunate for me, well, not unfortunate, it was a happy time. I was pregnant with Kel.
Mm.
And then after having her in 88, after 3 months, I thought, this is it. Baby body's going. I'm off back to rugby league. I'm off back to my grand.
Wow, 3 months after.
Yeah, ended up at civil service. It was. They were training out of there then, because obviously I'd missed a good year or so out of the link. So we're at civil service. Went back, just turned up, and they went, "You're back." I said, "Yes, I am." So I think that day that they'd had I don't know whether that was against Guiseley or sure, I don't think it was Crossgate. Might have been Guiseley again, and I'd only trained maybe once or twice. And they said, "You're in. That's it. You're in." So that was it. Got back into it big time then, and
Right.
enjoyed every minute.
And you were in the league by then.
No, I think we then progressed to the league. So that would maybe be 18, maybe 90, where we
Yeah.
sussed out that there was more people that were joining different teams, such as Halifax,
Yeah.
Hunslet, there was Keighley, there was obviously Dudley Hill. So it formulated a small division, but then as more people such as Wakefield and everybody else came in, the splitters obviously Division 1 and Division 2.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
you played a lot of friendlies initially then.
Yeah, I think the
And
ones
curtain
regular.
raisers, it amazes me, the men's game and the curtain raisers, the amount of teams that played on the men's pitch in the 1980s is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it showed that women could play this sport. It
Yeah.
shows that, all right, at the time, we aren't as strong.
Yeah.
We were the female species, but we can be as good to an extent because obviously physically, we haven't got a frame of a man. We're maybe not as hard hitters, but by God, we give it a good go.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting the attitude towards you around your behaviours and everything else. Did you have to overcome any barriers around sort of attitudes, not necessarily just of men, but of other people around women playing rugby
Yeah.
league?
Well, I would say some supported you. Your family supported you because they thought it was great. My dad thought it was a great day out going with girls on bus and everything else. Obviously, a lot of men didn't think it was right, politically right, that women shouldn't be playing rugby because it was a man's game. And a man's game through and through, and women shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be acting how you are. You shouldn't be playing. Some used to cross reference saying that obviously that we were all female orientated and that we didn't have male partners and stuff like that. And
So they
it
made a
was just
presumption you were lesbians.
exactly.
Mm.
And I'm like, but we're not. We're just there to enjoy this brilliant sport, which gives us a lease of life and a great friendship, teamship. But a lot of them couldn't understand it. They didn't want it. You used to get shoved about a bit in pubs as well. Oh, you know, you'd be, oh, you think you're hard because you play rugby league. It's like, why? It's a sport, but it's not a woman's game. It is a man's game, and yeah, we got quite a lot of hostility, really.
Really? And so
Yeah,
that was it. So you'd been heard out and about even when you were out socializing and things.
I've
So
been
people knew
scragged.
of you.
Yeah, I've been scragged a few times by men. I'm like, oh my God, sometimes not very nice, but, and it was like, why? And they just said, shouldn't be doing this sport. Who do you think you are? And being scragged and pushed. But yet the main people like the York players, who the majority of them, as we progressed through the years, absolutely friendships, brilliant blokes, helped you in any way that they could. Even coaches such as Derek Foster, when we didn't have anybody around. Derek Foster, who played in York, was a big name. He just walked down one day in the snow and said, "I can't believe you're training. I know you're without a coach. Can I help you till you get somebody?"
Oh, wow.
What more can you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was, yeah, we had a few, and Bryce Smith really was the main one. Colleavely did it when we won the second division. That was another one.
Mm.
The second division cup, we'd won most of our games, and then obviously you always got the finals at the end of the year
Yeah. So what
at
was that like
Batley.
then? So what was it like in sort of the league and sort of once it got to more formal? How was it? Because it was growing by the 1990s, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
women's more teams were
oh, it was
it was
great.
good, yeah.
It was
So
great. I mean, used to train once or twice a week. I think sometimes you always got somebody there once a week, and you would play on a Sunday. Sunday was the day. Um, then we used to have sponsorships that we would get coaches then, but you had to raise your own money. You had to go out and do race nights because obviously my dad's company actually, Station Taxis, used to back us a lot, and they used to give us sponsorship, and so did other people. And me and my dad used to work behind the bar when we went to New Ayswick for £1 an hour to pay our subscriptions for the team being there. So £1 an hour, £1.
wow.
But it worked, and with sponsorship, we used to go on the coaches, and yeah, it just expanded and it grew. And it was nice to meet other people, but all the ladies and the girls, young ones who were in it, we all had the same mentality. We just loved the sport.
Mm. So how big was the squad by then?
Our squad, I think, always went to maybe 16,
Yeah, yeah. And
17.
you were playing 13 aside.
Yeah, yeah. You always only had a couple of subs, and sometimes, I mean, in the back in the heyday, if you were short, they could then go down to 11 aside.
Mm.
The other team would naturally, well, hopefully, go to 11. If not, we played 11 against 13. About a common courtesy, everybody just said, we'll just play 11 aside. And obviously Hull were involved. There was just, and wherever you went over to Cumbria, on a bus to Cumbria, it was like, oh my God, it's like 4 hour drive to play rugby league. So, but yeah, you got to a lot of nice places, a lot of salubrious places, a lot of places with bars on the clubhouse that nobody could raid it. I was like, oh my God, you were picking glass and dog poo up before you played games over in Castleford. It was like, oh my God. Thought that was normal.
Yeah, yeah. So you never got the best pitches then.
No, no. The men always had the main pitches. We always had the offsets. I think as it became more regulated,
Mm.
if the men were at home, we would play on the first team pitch.
Yes.
Obviously, we took second best, but once they saw us playing properly and we proved what we were made of, we actually got more supporters, and everybody used to come down and watch us, especially at New Ayswick. They're like, girls are playing, let's go watch them. It's great fun, is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So what if you were sort of looking back, special moments, matches, anything like that, what would you think that you sort of things that remind you of those times?
I think Batley was I've got three, obviously. Batley, we played the second division cup final. The first time it was at Keighley, and we're up against Guiseley, and our first final for the second division, and we lost. But we went in, don't tell them though. So we went in bath afterwards, splashed about, and I think we fused all lighting. So I might get done for that. But yeah. But yeah, that was afterwards, and we lost that game. Then it went to Batley, And I'm sure it was Guiseley again. And of course, we got beat again the second final we'd been to in the second division. And then we went to Batley again. We played Sheffield. Sheffield was an up and coming young girls team, absolutely lovely lasses. And it was the third time we went, and we actually won the cup. Lee Jackson presented us it as well. It was like that was a big highlight because we'd fought 3 years to get that cup. And that year, I think we won the second division outright, and we won the cup at Batley. And then obviously went up into the first division for the first time. Got absolutely slaughtered. Only won one game all season. And then we'd gone down training and we didn't go to Blackpool for the presentation. Now that was another story, but we won't go there. And I think I ended up with Player of the Year with Brenda Dobeck. I got the Player of the Year out of all the teams in the first division. I'm like, well, how do you do that when you've only won one game? So to me, that was quite an honour to have gone joint with Brent. So I was like,
wow, that is pretty amazing, isn't it?
That I've still got somewhere. I'll have that somewhere. Then obviously playing for Yorkshire. Yorkshire was just the next intense rugby league. So and playing at Old Trafford.
Ah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, going out in front of 40,000 people. And I didn't get a team spot on that. Jill Blackburn got hooker, so she was in straight off. I was playing second row. I had to wait till the second half to get on, and I'm thinking, oh God, you're gonna have to do something here. So it's like, but you're still a team. It didn't matter whether you were a sub or anything. You played. You were there. You were a Yorkshire girl playing Lancashire, and we got 6 minutes each way? That's all we got. So we had 6 minutes. I was like 6 minutes in front of 40,000 people. But yeah, nearly scored. Got wiped out straight into barriers. Their fullback was amazing, but she could have let me have it, but she didn't. So that as an experience, and of course playing with different people from different clubs, Mackie and everybody else, it was just it was great. And then obviously Great Britain.
Yeah,
that was the piece de la resistance, as they say. That was just up there. That was an amazing time. Pleased I did it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And actually, you were before your time, having had a child, come back, played, had to go on tour with a young child, and it was working. Yeah, had a lot to do, didn't you?
Yeah, but if you want it, you'll do it. I always say you've got the love for a sport and friendship, teamship, respect everybody else who's playing the sport. You get so much out of it.
Absolutely. And when you look at and just for people on here that don't know, we've sort of gone into more detail about your international career, but actually how everyone rallied to help and support you locally so that you could play internationally.
To be honest, I mean, how it started off from from 85 to actually then representing obviously Great Britain and being one from York. I mean, another girl was selected for Great Britain, but she ducked out. She just said, I can't do it. She was too young, which bless her, but she'd have loved it. She should have kept on at it. I kept saying, don't give in, don't give in. But I mean, the support that you got from York Rugby League, obviously Roland Davis, John Stabler, bless him. Obviously, he's not with us anymore. They all helped the York Rugby League club. All the boys had me on training session with them. Never again. But they had me down there with them. Fundraising, I had a nucleus of supporters from down at the All Blacks. And a lot of people who I knew as friends went to these. And like Tony Brown, he went to every charity thing to get me to go to Australia on this Great Britain squad. He put a lot of people put a lot of money in it so that we could go. So you had to self-support. We didn't get money. We didn't have anything like that. We had to go find our own to support our own tour.
Yeah, and it was such a great community, wasn't it, locally, but also the women's rugby league community. Tell me a bit more about that once you started playing in leagues and the sort of things that, because there was a presentation, you've mentioned a bit about Blackpool. I don't know about that one and why you didn't go, but they used to go every year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I don't know why. I think because we'd gone up in first division, I think people were doing a lot of different things that year for Blackpool. And it just didn't happen. The first one actually was in Morecambe Bay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Morecambe Bay. Yeah, so we went there and had a riot like you do. And then obviously we used to have like our own presentations. Graham Stedman had turned up because obviously latterly we were coached by Gary Atkins and Paul Atkins, professional players.
Mm,
So, and obviously Graham came across and did a few presentations. He's a good lad as well. But yeah, it was so it just this reason we just didn't go to Blackpool, uh, whatever. But I mean, it was good. I mean, everybody supported everybody else. We all went. We all sat in a big room, and I can't remember whether we ate or not. I don't think there was a meal, but I can't remember much of it. It's all a bit of a blur at these days. But yeah, but you met everybody else. Like Bren would be there, at least Mackie would be there. Banksy, you just meet back up with everybody, and it's just yeah. And that was before Great Britain.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was just yeah, and the molds there. Every team, you knew everybody. Nicky Carter, Donna Parker, out with Flojo, Sal Milburn, the Kitcheners. It's like yeah, it's just wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very special times, and you're still friends now.
Yes, we are. It's nice to keep it going. I mean, obviously, we all are on Facebook. I think that's why I joined Facebook more so, was to keep in touch with obviously people that we played with along the way as we built the leagues up. And
Mm,
yeah, and they're all true mates.
yeah.
It's not, it's just a big family. It's just, yeah, it's us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a real positive aspect about, well, sport, but obviously the rugby league community, because you all had similar struggles and things, didn't you, to overcome?
Yeah, yeah. I think we all had our moments.
Yeah,
It was hard.
yeah,
But we didn't know any different. So I think in that aspect, that was how it was. That was when it was in the 80s, and you did what you wanted to do for the love of the sport. And because we enjoyed it, you were prepared. We had old kits that were just ripped and horrible. I don't think it was until Trevor Cox was at York who sponsored us our first kit. And I think that was about 4 years after 3, 4 years after we'd started. We never had our own kit. You had to have raggy old men's shirts and shorts that you could get your leg in both one side because they were that big. It was like, yeah. But you appreciated it. You worked hard to get what you wanted.
yeah, yeah. And how about the match officials? Did you always manage to get one of them to the game?
Yeah, well, I think they quite enjoyed it because it was something different. And as well, with it being a ladies' game, I think they used to turn up and think, oh, it's going to be a load of twaddle. This is going to be rubbish. Women playing rugby. But once they'd refed us, they were like, do you know what? This is great fun. They put it in, they don't back off, they get stuck in, and they said it is an absolute pleasure. And the one easy on us, you got told there would be sin bins, there would be anything else if somebody did something wrong. And, but afterwards, they were always having a pint with us or a nice cordial. But no, they really enjoyed it. I think they quite liked it because afterwards they
Yeah.
just saw we all just gelled together.
Yeah, and York Society was quite big at that time, actually, wasn't it? It was quite active,
Yeah,
York Referee Society.
it
So
was. So yeah, we'd have some of the old boys. Oh, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't want him reffing me. He's blooming awful. He'll tell you. He'll this. He'll." And I'm like, and some were, yeah, they're a bit ruthless, but you had to keep your mouth shut. I was like, "Ooh, don't say out because you're going off."
So when you look back, I mean, there's some lovely memories, isn't there? And
Yeah,
the community and everyone gelling together, and it's still there now. So when you look back and what's happening now in women's rugby league, but
yeah.
women's sport, how how do you feel you played your part?
I just think we were asked to play for a charity game, and because we'd seen the game because we're always watching the men play, we gave it a go. And I think it was just the love of the game. Once we played it, we got that bug. We enjoyed it. It was a totally different sport. Yeah, it was very physical. And you got a lot of it. You got new friendships. You formulated more away from York with other teams as well. It it was just yeah satisfying. it gave you like a new lease of life, I always thought.
Mm.
And giddy, you used to feel giddy before you played. And I think also like the other side of it, like I've said already, because nobody give you now, it was everything there for you to do. You made it a team, you made it that sport. You had to draft everything and you worked your backside off, not only on the pitch, outside as well. You had to do everything by rules and regulations at clubs, but that's called loving the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Yeah.
was amazing times. And I know talking to you and sort of other people involved, that the love for it, and now you're still involved.
Yeah, just bits here and there now. And I look at it now how it's progressed. Absolutely fabulous for women and young girls nowadays. And would I change my life? The start of playing rugby league? No, because that was in our era. That was what, and even like as a person in the 80s, you worked hard to get what you wanted,
Mm.
and it would have been so different. I think it's very nice nowadays. I'd like just to turn up and, well, I don't mean just turn up. I mean that totally wrong. It's there. You've got everybody backing you. You've got your sponsorship. You've got beautiful grounds to play on. And I think fair game. You deserve it, girls, and enjoy what you've got because, yeah, it's amazing. And it's amazing that you've got all this behind you now, but it means that it's moved forward. It
Absolutely.
means it's progressed, which is what it should do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you played your part as a pioneer, Julie, and I know you're often unassuming and you don't, when I say that, as in the part you played was huge in the York area, even working behind the bar to pay for things, to be able to have the club and starting things up. You're larger than life. You're a pioneer of rugby league, and really proud to know you. And thank you for all that you've done for the sport and continue to do. People like you, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Thank you. I just love